Hello viewers! Welcome back to Ronin Blades. My name is Christian Ray, and if it's sharp, I can make it. Whether it's new, used, or scrap, I can turn it into a beautiful and lethal metal masterpiece. This is Ronin Blades. Today on Ronin Blades, we begin at the very beginning. Loyal viewers will recognize this. This was my first sword and the first thing I ever made on this series, back when I had a lot less experience making swords and a lot more hair. Now, though it was a lot of fun making this piece, there are a lot of problems with it. Technically, it's not a sword at all. It's made of low carbon steel, it's not sharp, the handguard doesn't fit perfectly, and there's a really small transition here between the pommel and the handle. So as far as a decorative piece or a costume piece, it'll work pretty well. But that's not why I'm in this business. I'm not in this business to make costume pieces. I'm in this business to make beautiful weapons. So today I'm going to be making a sword out of this. This is my sword redemption. Turning this massive construction bar into a sword is going to take a lot of work. The first thing we have to do is cut the ends off to expose the round stock in the middle. Then we grind away all the paint, which is probably not too good to incinerate and breathe in. And then we get upset. Literally. This process is called upsetting, and it's all about hitting the hot steel back into itself. Upsetting makes our material shorter and stockier, and is the only way to technically add steel to a part of a piece. This process soon creates a very sizable well at the end of our material. We hammer this well to a geometric shape, as it will be an ornamental piece I'll tell you about later. It's then on to defining our handle. Our old sword had a through tang and a threaded pommel construction, but this one will have a full tang construction, meaning we have to widen out our handle area so the scales will mount to it properly. With our handle defined, it's time to move on to the arduous task of drawing out the blade. The round stock our crowbar is made of is really hard to hammer down, especially because it has so much mass. It takes extremely hot temperatures and my heavy Swedish hammer just to make a dent in it properly. After hours of pounding, it's drawn out and straightened so we can assess our progress. Sitraf. This thing is monstrous. It's a lot longer and a lot heavier than I anticipated. So my original design isn't going to work. I'm going to have to change my design on the fly, but looking at this, just the shapes it's taking, I think it lends itself to a nice two-handed saber. Sort of like a tachi, except it won't be a tachi because it's not made with traditional Japanese steel, with traditional Japanese methods, by traditional Japanese equipment, and from a traditional Japanese swordsmith. Anyway, back to work. A two-handed saber construction means I really have to define our handle. It not only has to be separate from the blade, but has to be made in a way that's comfortable to hold. I then forge in a curved tip, and then hot cut out a small section where the handle meets the blade. I forge out this hot cut section into a nice forward-facing curve, and begin beveling the blade edge. As I bevel, the material curves itself away from the bevel, giving us a distinct curved shape. We then use our light hammer to clean up any hammer marks, and our forging is finished. First of all, I am in love with the shape of this thing. It's beautiful katana curved blade with a reverse curved handle. It's going to give us good leverage while we're swinging. Also, our integral handguard, very ornate looking, very sleek, very subtle, but it does everything a handguard needs to do. Stops our hand from going into the blade, stops enemy weapons from coming down on us. Also integral on this piece, our pommel. It stops our hand from going off the handle, but more importantly, it's super heavy. There's a lot of mass right here. And you need mass at the opposite end of your handle because it weighs down the handle side, causing balance in the blade.
Right now, our blade is really heavy. I mean, this is over 3 pounds. It's really heavy for a sword. Doug Marcato would have a thing or two to say about it. Our balance point is about there, which is decent, right in the middle of the blade. I want it to be here. So as we're grinding, hopefully I can take off enough weight from the blade that once we get our handle scales put on, it'll make a nice balance point right here, about 2 inches in front of the handguard. Gonna take a lot on the grinder though.
And off to the grinder I go. I'm very liberal with my grinding because I have to get a lot of mass off of this blade. It's so heavy right now that when I swing it, it wants to take me with it, so removing material is a complete necessity. It's then time for heat treatment, and this heat treatment is very unique. The sword is too long for my forge, so I have to put another forge at the end just so it'll fit, and I can get an even heat. It's a somewhat tricky thermal cycling, but I'm able to get our sword in the quench and hardened up.
And here it is. Half of it, anyway, the rest is right here in our straightening jig. Once it cools off, we'll temper it, and then next time, we're getting it nice and sharp, we're slapping a handle on, and we're testing the heck out of it. I'll see you next time.